So, hi everyone. Thanks all for your time and for coming. I'm Andrew Fredrickson. And this is the welcome session for the Clayton Riddell Faculty of Environment, Earth and Resources. So, as I said, I'm Andrew Fredrickson. I'm the Associate Dean Academic for the faculty. And I just have a few short announcements before we start with the actual presentations. First of all, I want you to all be aware, you've probably noticed the little red dot on the upper left corner of your screen. This session is being recorded. So so this will be a recorded session, and as well the chat function. There's a little chat box. If you go to the bottom, of your screen, there's a button for chat. That is also a public chat. There is no sort of private communication in here, so anything you write there will be publicly visible. And so, not that we expect this to happen or anything like that, but yeah, bear in mind, please be respectful, and disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated. So, and the way it's set up right now, you're muted and your video is off, except for the actual speakers. So the chat function is where you'll ask your questions. So you can ask questions at any time during the chat function, in the chat box, and we'll be keeping an eye on that. And basically at the end of each sort of individual presentation, there'll be some time to answer questions that have come in. So basically, so there'll be some. What you're seeing is basically it's just a set of slides being shared by Jason, who is also sort of running the sort of technical side of this, and we'll be keeping an eye on the chat window as we talk. So yes, this. So in any case, can we go to the second slide, please? Okay. So first off, I'd like to acknowledge that the University of Manitoba campuses are located on the original lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and on the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that were made on these territories. We acknowledge the harms and mistakes of the past, and we dedicate ourselves to move forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of reconciliation and collaboration. So next slide, please. So the Clayton H. Riddell Faculty of Environment, Earth and Resources, and yes, I grant the name is a bit of a mouthful, is pretty new. It was established in 2003. That may not seem all that new to some of you, but by university standards, that's pretty new. So what the faculty is for is kind of there in the name: environment, earth, and resources. So we're looking at sort of complex and dynamic environmental and resource issues, which some people call wicked problems. We deal with problems that are hard and that address the combination of sustainability with needs for resources: food, water, minerals, and energy. We deal with this from a range of different perspectives. A lot of what we do would be sort of classified as science, but we also look at things from a social science perspective, from a cultural perspective. So our subject matter actually spans the physical and social sciences as well as the humanities. And if you might have noticed, just on the right there, you've got a view of Lake Winnipeg from a satellite, and you can see Winnipeg is the light-colored blotch at the sort of bottom of the map. Okay, so next slide, please. So one thing to think about is that we are dealing with issues of limited resources and a fragile environment in the context of an expanding human population. And this number now may not be exactly up to date at the moment, but it's in the right ballpark. Around 158 more people are added to the world's population every minute. So there's a lot of people, there's going to be more people there, and this creates greater environmental pressure and greater need for resources. So this is what we have to reckon with. Next slide, please. And so by the time you graduate, I mean, since I'm not going to make you do the math on that, but if you take 4 years to do a degree, there's a lot of minutes in 4 years. That leads to about 300 million more people on Earth. Next slide, please. So basically, it's not so much that we've sort of passed the point of anticipating future change, or are at the point of dealing with change that has already happened. Approximately 17% of the Earth's land surface is unmodified by humans. The rest is modified by human activity. It can be educational to look at, for instance, a satellite image of the prairies and see how much of it is, which is intensely modified environment. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, yeah. So something like half of the world's forests are gone. Have been logged, have been replaced with farmland, replaced with urbanization. Next slide, please. And the system that humans have set up on this land is more fragile than a lot of people realize. For instance, about 40% of the food grown in the world depends on irrigation. That is water from elsewhere, water from aquifers, water brought long distances. I don't know how many of you have traveled in the US, and particularly in the Western US, but some of the irrigation infrastructure that you see is kind of incredible in its scale. So that, one more slide, please. And of course, this is something that everyone by now is well aware of. Climate change and the warming of the planet have gone from sort of a theoretical future problem to something that is happening now. Arctic sea ice forms significantly later in the fall. It melts significantly earlier in the spring. This has changed over, a few decades. Next slide, please. So with these things in mind, let's get a little more practical. So these are the kinds of issues, these are the kinds of future issues that our degrees are meant to sort of prepare you to contend with. And so first of all, here's where we do that. So you can see here's the same building in summer and winter. This is the Wallace building. It's one of the two buildings occupied by our faculty. The Wallace building is where the faculty office is. It's where most of the teaching space is. It is probably where you are going to find yourself spending a lot of time. So it's actually, unfortunately, normally we'd be holding this session in the Wallace building. Obviously, we can't do that right now, but hopefully it won't be too long till you can see this building for yourself. It's quite architecturally interesting. It was built in the 1980s, and its style is kind of unique. It's also been added to twice as we've built, with the need for further research space, as we've expanded what the faculty does, we've built onto the top of it. So it's now a 5-story building instead of a 3-story building, or 4.5-story building, 3.5-story building. So within this building, we teach roughly, I mean, these numbers are from 2019. I don't have the most up-to-date figures, but we teach roughly sort of between 400 and 500 undergraduate students per year, a little less than 200 graduate students. And there's, 30 some odd faculty members, 25 some odd support staff. These numbers are going to change a little bit over time. Some people retire, sometimes some new people arrive. And of course, the student numbers fluctuate from year to year, and we do not know obviously don't know our final numbers for the fall yet, but that's the kind of size we're looking at. And this is actually quite small for university faculty. University faculties can be very very large organizations, and ours is one of the smaller. Next slide, please. Okay, thank you. So one of the benefits of being in a small faculty is that our classes are not too enormous. Now, one thing that is true of universities everywhere is that first-year classes tend to be large. That's because there's an awful lot of first classes that are common to multiple programs, or that are required by one program but are common elective for students in other programs, or this and that. So courses like, say, first-year geography, first-year geology, those types of courses are typically going to be around 100 students. In second year, as you start to specialize into a specific program, the courses shrink, and you're looking at 20, 30, 40 students per class. And then in the more specialized third and fourth years, where you start to specialize into your specific interests, your classes get smaller again. Third and fourth year classes can be 10, 15 or so students. Now the photos on the left here are just showing some of the field teaching we do, which I'll say more about in a bit. But on the furthest to the left is from a field course in the Experimental Lakes area in Western Ontario. Whereas in the middle of your screen, there's a picture from the geophysics field course. This I can say more about because this is a course that I'm one of the instructors for. In this case, they're measuring variations in the Earth's magnetic field along a road near Selkirk. And this kind of magnetic field variation can tell you things about what the rocks are doing beneath the surface, even if it's all hidden and can't be seen directly. Next slide, please. So we have some unique travel opportunities through the university and through the faculty. There's all kinds of things you can do if you're interested. For instance, these are showing, there's just a couple of past examples of some of our more far-flung teaching that we've had in our faculty over the past few years. Like there's an actual course in Greenland, which, as you can see, is not very green. So this is a course on ice sampling. Whereas in the lower right hand, you've got the sort of climate opposite, a sustainable tourism course held in Grenada in a nice sort of tropical or subtropical environment. So one of the things that we offer is a lot of sort of teaching that doesn't take place in an indoor classroom. Next slide, please. So, as a relatively small faculty, we have a relatively small number of teaching units or departments. For instance, the Faculty of Science has a lot of different departments, a lot of different areas. We have three units, two of which are teaching departments. The third is the Natural Resources Institute, which only teaches at the graduate level. So for undergraduate students like yourselves, what's more of interest are the departments of Environment, Geography, and Geological Sciences. So the Department of Environment and Geography has programs in a number of different areas to bring together geography and the environment. So there's a BA in geography that is sort of the more humanities and social sciences oriented side, what's often called human geography. So more interested in the geography of people than in the geography of the physical world. There's also a BSc, so a Bachelor of Science in Physical Geography. That's in a sense, the other side of geography. So is more about the physical Earth. So topics like, for instance, meteorology fall in there, and glacial science, geomorphology, things like that. There's also Bachelors of Environmental Science and Bachelors of Environmental Studies. So here, once again, the word science is a clue. The Bachelor of Environmental Science is sort of more BSc-like, and then it's specifically about the science of environmental problems, and that in particular is an accredited program. Bachelor of Environmental Studies is more about sort of the human side of the environment and sort of environments and societies. And there's a cooperative education option in these programs that allows for essentially work terms during the course of your degree. Now, geological sciences is a little more specialized. There's a distinction between geography and geology, whereas geography is sort of more the earth in a broad sense. Geology is more about the earth as physical object, essentially from the surface on down, the earth's interior, what the earth is made of. So things like rocks and minerals, the earth's history over really long periods of time, the earth's past environments, things like that are studied in geology. And geophysics is a similar subject matter, but a different approach, more based in physics and less based in, say, chemistry. So next slide, please. So we have a number of field courses. I'm just going to show you a few examples here. One of the things that the U of M offers in environment and geography is the only storm chasing course in Canada. As you can see, it's a small class. For example, they've had, I believe this is the last time it was offered, it was 14 students and 4 meteorologists. It's offered every other year and requires fairly rigorous background and preparation. Obviously, there are, safety aspects that have to be considered, and you need to have a significant amount of meteorology background before doing this. And essentially, it's held when prairie storms are at their height, but it can require covering very large distances. So for instance, over a week, you can cover on the order of 6,000 kilometers. And there's heavy focus on sort of both the scientific aspect and on professional responsibility. Next slide, please. And I'll just make as an aside, just remind you that if you have questions, you can put them in the chat. And I'll be answering questions at the end of my slides here. I don't actually have all that many slides. We also offer field courses in geology and geophysics through the Department of Geological Sciences. This I've worked on myself, so I can say a little more about. But basically, we have a field station out in the Whiteshell on Star Lake, which is, about 2 hours from campus, maybe a little less. It's near West Hawk Lake. Star Lake's a smaller lake immediately to the west of West Hawk. So the university has a field station out there. So for these field courses, often involve significant stays out there. There's 1.5 and 3-week intensive courses involving, well, for the geology courses, mapping, rock identification, reconstructing past environments, figuring out, okay, where did these rocks come from? How did they form? And the geophysics field course is more based on physical measurements and rather than close examination of the rocks. And so, for instance, the image I put on the left is from one of those surveys here. You can see there's some measuring tapes laid out. This is at a site near the old Sunbeam mine. And there's measurements being taken using a couple of different instruments. There's a magnetometer being worn by one student. There's a gamma ray spectrometer being used. Another student is sketching the site. So essentially, these are offered, well, some of these courses are every year, some are every other year, but they're required courses for their respective programs. So if you go into geology or geophysics, you will take at least one field course. Next slide, please. There's also a course taught at the Experimental Lakes area. So the Experimental Lakes area is a site in Western Ontario. It's east of Kenora, some distance. And it's essentially a set of lakes that are operated for scientific purposes. So you can do things like both do observational science and experimental science by doing things like altering lake chemistry and seeing what that does to, for instance, the biota in the lake. And so it's also a tremendous place to do a field course at an active research station. So students go out to the Experimental Lakes area to look at sort of lake behavior. So things like chemistry of lake water, what's living in the lake, what is the vegetation like. We also visit both indigenous communities and industry to get different perspectives. And this course is taught by faculty from every department in the faculty. Next slide, please. So thinking about all of this kind of field teaching is it's a very different experience from taking a class in a classroom. Students will work and learn together in often quite intense ways. You do a lot of group work, and things are not all based on, reading textbooks, listening to lectures, writing exams. And these can often be important for career purposes because you can also pick up some directly useful skills out there. Things like sampling methods, or how to take geophysical measurements, how to proper mapping. Yeah, the picture on the left is just from one of the geology field schools. So that's the part of the front of the bunkhouse at the Star Lake Field Station. This is an older picture because we've actually done a little construction there since then, but the site's still a little bit rough and ready. Next slide, please. So we've also got some connections sort of outside of direct teaching. So for instance, we're connected to the Manitoba Environmental Industries Association, or MEIA, particularly through the environmental science and environmental studies side. The environmental science program is actually accredited through an accrediting body called Eco Canada. That accreditation was just recently renewed. In geological sciences, things work a little differently. There isn't a formal accreditation process, but the program is instead designed to meet the requirements for professional registration. That is, geology and geophysics are regulated professions. To call yourself a geologist or a geophysicist, you need to be registered with the body, just like you would for, say, engineers and physicians. You can connect to industry through this, through things like the co-op program in environment and geography, as well as things like summer jobs. There's no formal co-op program in geological sciences at the moment. There is a lot of industry jobs get posted there. It's quite common for students to get summer jobs with industry or government. And there's also opportunities to get involved in research in a few different ways. The lower right is a photo from one of our labs. In this case, this is what's called the SIMS lab. It stands for Secondary Ion Mass Spectrometer, and it's essentially a very precise device for measuring chemical and isotopic composition of very small samples. So you can get involved in research both through summer projects. There are programs that will fund you through the summer, for instance, like there's one through NSERC, and the university has an internal program as well. You can do an honors thesis if you do an honors program, and that involves taking on your own research project and writing it up. There's also technical report, which is another course, involves a smaller project than a thesis. It takes 1 term instead of 2. Next slide, please. So I want to say something about the sort of level of research infrastructure and research activity that our faculty is involved with. And what I'm showing you here is not exclusively ours by any means, but it's something that the researchers in the faculty are very involved in, is work on this CCGS Amundsen. This is an icebreaker, so it's a ship that can operate in sea ice that is used to carry out research in the Arctic. It can carry 40 crew and 40 scientists, which could include students. It's quite common for graduate students to be up there, and occasionally undergraduates get involved as well. Can deploy instruments on the sea floor through what's called a moon pool, and it can travel quite widely. So people have done Arctic research in northern Manitoba, further into the Arctic, at Hudson Bay, or the high Arctic, or even in Greenland. Next slide, please. A new facility is the Churchill Marine Observatory. This is a permanent site being built. I'm not sure if it's completed yet, but it's what its current status is. But it's an observatory being set up in the town of Churchill, Manitoba. So that's on the Hudson Bay coast. You've probably heard of Churchill. You probably know that you can take a train there, but you can't drive there because there's no road. Because well, it's a long way up there. It's on the Arctic coast. And so it's among other things, it's famous for its polar bears, which is both interesting and a little nerve-wracking. So the Churchill Marine Observatory is specifically, well, it has goals, but one of the main ones, prepare for the possible oil spill in the Arctic. With the increase in Arctic shipping, it seems like only a matter of time before there is some sort of accident, and so we need to know what happens when oil is spilled in Arctic waters. It's also since climate change effects are more severe near the poles, and a high latitude site like Churchill is also good for looking at the effects of climate change in the site where these effects are magnified. Next slide, please. Closer to home, there's a facility in what's called Smart Park. It's a section of campus that's devoted to things like research firms and sort of where industry meets private sector. But there's also set up there something called the Sea Ice Experimental Research Facility, or SURF. And essentially, it's a place where we can experiment, even though we're a long way from the ocean. This is somewhere we can go and make some sea ice. So because an awful lot of the research going on in our faculty, particularly through the Center for the Earth Observation Science, or CEOS, is into sea ice and it's how it participates in things like climate and in Arctic ecosystems. And so looking at how sea ice forms, it's helpful to be able to do that under controlled conditions. So essentially at SURF, we can produce sea ice here in Winnipeg and examine how it responds to different conditions. We also have a wide set of analytical labs in Wallace, both for Arctic science and for geology and geochemistry. So we can do things like isotopic analyses, so look at different isotopes in a material, which can tell you a lot about where it came from and what environment it's been in. You can look at the trace elements. You can look at crystal structures through our X-ray diffraction lab. We do environmental nanoscience. So we have a lot of analytical instrumentation, which gets used both for research, and it can be used for things like for student research and things like honors theses. And we even have, in geological sciences, there's actually a course specifically devoted to analytical methods in these labs. Next slide, please. So I just think we've got a few, just to give you an idea of where our students can end up, we've got a few alumni who've agreed to be spotlighted in these kinds of presentations. So for instance, this is Michelle Curry. In the past, she was a co-op student working with Environment Canada. She led a weather club, and she graduated in 2018 with her master's in lake effects on Manitoba weather. Next slide, please. Here's two students who both transferred from the University College of the North. Those of you who are from Winnipeg may not know this, but basically the University College of the North offers the opportunity to essentially take your first 2 years of classes in the North, and then transfer those credits to U of M to continue to a full university degree. And both of these students are now pursuing graduate degrees. Next slide, please. There's a couple more alumni who've ended up in more sort of the social science of things. So Lindsay Benman is an environmental programs coordinator for High Life, which is Canada's largest pork producer. obviously the impacts of that kind of environmental impacts of that kind of agriculture are significant, so clearly that needs to be attended to. Amanda Hugelak is co-founder of Travel Routes, which is a travel company that devoted to socially responsible travel. Next slide, please. Keiji Olale is a geophysics graduate, and she's working in the oil and gas industry in Calgary, so in this case for Imperial Oil. So you can see there's a wide range of fields that you can end up in, depending on your interest, depending on your program, depending on any number of other things. Next slide, please. So that ends my presentation. As you can see, there's lots of directions a degree from our faculty can take you. Now I can take some questions now if anyone has thought of any in the last, but hasn't bothered to put it in the chat box. If you have any questions, just drop them in the chat box. If not, well, if you think of any questions, I can always come back and answer some later, but if not, I'll now pass you over to Ilka Cudmore, and I'll be muting my mic now.
Hi, thank you, Andrew. Next slide, please. Okay, hello, everybody. I can't see you, but it's really nice to see you, I guess. I'd like to start off with the two pictures of the Wallace building. So the one on the left is the one it looks now. Really beautiful. Probably by the time we're all back on campus, it's gonna look like the one on the right, covered in snow. Still beautiful. Hopefully. Next slide, please. Okay, so once we are all back on campus, whenever that might be, we are located on the 4th floor of the Wallace building. And basically up the stairs, there's an elevator as well. I was gonna say look for the yellow walls, but the walls are all yellow. And then the dean's office is right there. Next slide, please.
Hi, so I'm Jason. I've been sort of trying to drive the slideshow along here. Again, sorry for the delays. I'm clicking here and it does take a little while for everything to catch up, I think, as everybody's using up bandwidth here. Anyways, I'm the Student Affairs Coordinator, and if you have any questions, you can always send me a text at my number or call me. And of course, we're available via email. And we're taking the appointments now via video methods as well.
And back to me, that's me. Again, here's my contact information. Like Jason said, you can make appointments. I've already met with a couple of you. With those ones who I haven't met with, please make an appointment. You don't have to frantically write down phone numbers, emails right now, or links. I will email you all the links after this session. And next slide, please. Now, we also have two additional people. The first one is Hope McBride. She's our international student support, and I will hand it over to Hope.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Perfect. Hi, guys. I'm the international student support for the faculty. So I'm specifically for international students. I'm basically just to make your experience better, your transition into university a bit easier. I have emails that go out to international students every few weeks with resources from the university. Doesn't always pertain to international students, but again, I'm here to help you. And I'm also located in the dean's office. I work at the front desk, so when you come in, you'll be seeing my face first thing. And yeah, my information is there as well. But you can also come see me in person once we're back on campus also.
Thank you, Hope. And rounding out the team is Marla, and Marla is our Indigenous Projects Coordinator. Marla?
Hi there, everybody. So my name is Marla Robson, and I've just recently come into this position, and really just here to provide extra supports and to help with the transition for any First Nations, Métis, or Inuit students. So providing lots of information and referrals to different support services that might be on campus already. You may have taken in a presentation that was for Indigenous students provided by the Indigenous Student Recruitment Team. If you haven't had that chance yet, maybe take a quick scroll through that video. You'll also see potentially the Indigenous View Book. But if you have any questions about how to connect with folks during this time where we're all sort of trying to cope remotely, feel free to reach out to me. I'm available anytime to answer any questions. And then hopefully there'll be some really exciting things that will be happening coming up in the fall term to sort of help create our community here. But welcome to university, and I look forward to getting to know you guys.
Thank you, Marla. Jason and now I can't see you, which makes it a little bit tricky, but you may have counselors in high school. Is that correct? Can you push like the yes button? Anybody?
So yeah, in the participants window, I don't know if everybody has that open. There is an option there that you can click on yes and no to provide us feedback if you like, or you can just also drop something in the chat if that works better for you as well. We're trying to make it a little bit interactive here. Perfect, awesome, it's working. Thank you. I'm seeing a few yeses there. Nice.
Okay, good. Counselors. So we are advising on academic matters. So I kind of like the first bullet there, which says we will not prescribe answers or courses for you. Now, in your first year, we will definitely prescribe courses for you. Most of you will have received the program summary sheet where I highlighted all the courses you're supposed to take. That's just to get you on the right track. Later on, it's up to you. We make sure that you meet degree requirements. We help you in selecting courses that meet degree requirements, but we don't tell you per se, you have to take this, and this course. We will encourage you to find academic areas and courses that are the best fit for you. And we will also let you know about opportunities. May it be co-op, may it be extracurricular, awards, things like that. Again, this is a collaborative process, so we have to work together. We expect you to come in, be prepared. Maybe go to the next slide, Jason. Okay, so this is what we do. We explain institutional policies and procedures, degree requirements, academic programs. We can refer you to any additional resources that are available on campus. We offer advice on selecting courses, how to best meet degree requirements. We discuss your performance. Very importantly, we maintain confidentiality. Unless your parents or you have signed off on your parents to know about how you're doing, we cannot discuss your academic progress with your parents. Next slide, please. And as you have expectation of us, we also have expectations of you, which means that we expect you to come in, like check in via email, phone right now, make appointments. We have virtual appointments. Just check in regularly. For those of you who are brand new, there will come a time where you're like, I'm not really sure what's going on. Completely normal, but don't wait. Come to us, make an appointment, shoot me an email, just give me a call and we can help you out. But I can't help you if I don't know there's an issue. We help you make decisions, and we expect you to also make decisions on your own to know what you want. We expect you to know your program requirements. I come to that later. And also to take responsibility for your own decisions. Next slide, please. Okay, so again, if you can click yes or no, for the direct entry students, you should have received a folder that contained a summary sheet, career information sheet, timetable planning sheet, the newsletter. Anybody received that? I know one person received it for sure because she told me she got it. Okay, 2. If you haven't received that yet, please send me an email and I will send it out to you. Oh, 2 no's, okay. So definitely send me an email, and Jason will also show you another email address that you can use to contact us.
So this is our main faculty, what we call our landing page. And here at the bottom is our riddell.faculty@umanitoba.ca email address. It's on the bottom of all of our web pages through the Dean's Office. Send us an email. Ilka and I both monitor this account. So if one of us is on holidays, the other one will be picking up and responding to any inquiries that come to that account. So please use it if you have any questions.
As Jason always said, if I get hit by a bus, if you email that address, you still get an answer. Back to the slides. So definitely email me if you didn't get it. Next slide. Because that folder has the program summary sheet that shows your courses. Now, the program summary sheet will have the highlighted courses that shows the ones that you're supposed to take in your first year. Now, the next step is going to be figuring out your timetable and how to register. Very important. If you haven't done it yet, there are currently sessions offered by the First Year Center. And if Jason can go there, there's a session tonight and for the next 4 or 5 days that you can still do. So those sessions are live and they will take you through how to do your timetable, how to register. There are the times that work for you. If those times don't work for you, they record all their sessions, so you can access it any time. Another option on how to learn more about how to register is available on the registrars page, and Jason will show you how to get there now. Right?
Sorry, I'm just having a little mouse problem here.
Also, you can email either one of us or the Riddell faculty email. If you're not sure what the courses mean, send us an email. We can discuss it. The page is up now, so you can really try and watch those so you know what's going on. Because once the time comes along to register, you have to be quick. First, your courses fill up quite quickly, so you want to be ready. So go to the next slide, please. And you can skip the next one, because that will be the online registration page. Go to the next one. Okay, so assuming that you have selected your courses, what else can you do before classes start? Have you activated your U of M email account? Anybody? Okay, good. 1 person. Excellent. 2 people, 3, 4, 5. No. Stopping at 4? Okay. So for those of you who haven't done it, you have to do that. Try to get that done right away. That is a really important thing to do because all your email will come to your U of M email account. We will email you to the U of M email account. Your instructor will email you there. All the registrar's office emails will go there. We are physically not allowed to email you personal email account with U of M information. So it's really important that you claim it. Jason, you want to show where to go to claim the U of M email account? Is your mouse okay now?
Yep, it should be back. Sorry, there is still a bit of a delay. And again, I've been dropping these into the chat for the links, but like Ilka had indicated to you as well, she will be emailing all the participants today with the links as well. So don't worry about it if you can't grab it right now.
Yeah. So again, very important. Probably the single most important thing is to claim your email account. Are you going back? Okay, your photo ID card. Now, usually what you would have done in normal times is go to campus, line up for an hour, get your picture taken, and then you get your card right away. What you can do now is you can actually complete a form, mail it in, attach a photo, and you will get your student card a week and a half later. So that's something you can do right away as well. You can buy your textbooks once you have registered for your classes. You can't do it now, obviously, but once you've registered, you can log into student account. There will be a book list And we're going back to the photo ID that you can request. The link is up now. Can we go back to the thing? We moved on to the books, which are important. Yeah, so you can shop online, you can come in, the bookstore will be open as of August 4th. Now, we're obviously trying to push the bookstore. You can also see if you can book secondhand. Textbooks are incredibly expensive. If you buy them secondhand, if you buy them used, which is a really good idea, make sure that it's the right edition. If the instructor asked for the 5th edition of the book, you cannot buy the 4th or the 3rd. It will differ and it will drive you absolutely nuts. So make sure you get the right edition. You can download your free copy of Microsoft Office 365, very important. You can find out whether or not you're eligible for a bursary. The bursary applications actually open on August 1st. So Jason is going there right now to show you, I believe. Is that what you're going to do?
I am. Yep. Sorry, it's just, it does take a little bit of time when we're transitioning here. And I'll drop that in the chat as well.
Okay, so yeah, so bursaries. I always encourage students to apply, to fill out the application at any rate. Even if you think you may not be eligible, just apply anyway. Put in all your information. Bursaries are usually distributed in October, November, and only students who actually applied, who are on the list, can be awarded bursaries. So if you didn't apply, you're not in the pot. So make sure that you apply. If you're ineligible, there is no repercussions for that. It doesn't matter. But you might be eligible, you just never know. So just put in all the numbers that they ask for and apply. And you can do that as soon as August 1st. Go back. Okay, then we have the bursaries. So insurance, you might be covered by your parents, so you might be able to opt out. So I would definitely encourage you to look that up, whether or not you need the insurance. I think we're having technical difficulties right now. Are we going to the insurance, yes or no?
We are at the insurance page if you just want to let it load there.
Okay. So you can read up on that and see whether or not you're actually covered or if you can opt out. And how many of you are expecting to take the bus in January? Anybody taking the bus? 1, 2, okay. So U of M, you might have heard, has a U-Pass. That means that you pay for it, but it's for the whole term. You can ride the bus. Well, you can't ride it for free because you're already paying for it. So you need your student card again to activate the U-Pass. I am not sure at this point how that's going to work with the fall term because we are remote, if there will be a discounted version or not. But definitely check that out, as well the gym, which is not open yet, but they will open soon. So again, you are being charged for gym membership automatically, so please go. It's an awesome gym, it's great. They have tons of classes, it has a pool, again, once it opens. And it's included in the fees that you pay. And we're going back. Okay, and last but not least, follow us on Instagram, follow the U of M, follow UM Student, Facebook, the Riddell faculty Instagram account, Facebook account. We post events that we have, we post awards that we have, scholarships, anything that might be of interest to you, extracurricular opportunities, jobs. So make sure that you follow it.
Next yeah, we do try to put in some opportunities there for you as well. There might be some on-campus jobs, for example, things coming up with co-op and that, and we'll try and put them there. And I think we just have a question, if we can pause for a second, if we're okay with that. Did you want to go ahead with your question? Nabia, am I saying that correctly?
Yes. Well, I checked the audit that that's a summary of that looks into the future courses and everything, which is not up yet, or I don't know how that works. Like the sample audit for other faculties are up, but it couldn't find ours, so I was just
That's actually a great question, and I'm happy that you found that. That's going to be a great tool you'll achieve. Unfortunately, they are not done building our degree programs yet. We are hoping to have it done fairly soon. I couldn't tell you when, but we are working on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
And once we're actually done and we are live, we will be sending out an email to everybody, just letting everybody know, hey, Achieve is up now. You can go in, you can plan your degree program, all those things. So watch out for that. Again, have your U of M email account ready for that, or you won't be getting that. Okay, back to the U of M student card. It's really useful once we're back on campus. So you will be using it to go to the library. You will be asked to show it during examinations once we are back in class. You need it to access a gym. Is anybody going to go to residence? Is that open? No? I'm talking about January. Nobody? Okay. I already mentioned the U-Pass and to access certain doors. So really, really important. Also try and memorize your student ID because you will be asked for it every time somebody talks to you. Now, really, really important dates coming up. Are you aware that on July 10th, you can see registration time? Did you know that? Okay, perfect, excellent. So make sure that you can log into our student. Is everybody able to log into our student? Have you done that already? Okay, cool. Okay, very important. If you have trouble logging in, make sure that you call that number because on July 10th, you will see registration time, which for direct entry students will be between July 14th and July 20th. Again, you will register as a student. Hopefully by then you have figured it out, you have talked to us, you have watched maybe an online tutorial, you will be all ready with your CRNs, the 5-digit numbers that you can register with. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, send me an email and we can make an appointment. I can walk you through it and you will be able to register on your date. Now, very important, on your registration date, which could be July 14th at 9 a.m., could be at 2 p.m., make sure you register for both the fall and the winter. Sometimes students think they only have to register for the fall and they can leave the winter until January. The courses will be full. So you will first do the fall and then do the winter. Very important. Now for all returning students, anybody advanced entry here? Who has completed more than 1 year of university already? Okay, so your registration time will start as early as July 3rd from then on, based on GPA from this year. Classes start on September 9th. Again, it's all remote. You may switch classes up until September 23rd. So you can kind of try them out and then you can switch. The last day to drop with a refund, so that's very, very important. If you want to get your money back, the last time to drop is September 22nd. If you want to add the course, it's September 23rd. And the fees are due not until October 2nd. So that's nice and late. Next slide, please. Oh, wait, Jason, you were going to show them the important dates webs page?
Yes.
Where you can see all the important dates because it's very important to know when, what's happening when.
So here are the dates so that you don't have to write them down. And we'll be coming back to this too when we navigate back to our faculty landing page. We also have a link here that will take you to that important dates page as well. You can also obviously just search for it in Google and it'll come up and you can find it off in various ways from the webpage. But these dates are very important, especially right now with COVID. Some of the dates have been changing or updating to sort of accommodate things. So this is a really good page to come back to often.
Okay. And just a note, for the dates. So the last date to drop was September 22nd. If you have trouble dropping a course, I don't know, at 8 p.m. at night on the 22nd and you're freaking out, make sure to send us an email, to contact us and say, hey, I'm trying to drop this course, I can't get out. So we know, and then we can help you. Don't wait for another week or so and say, well, I was trying to drop it, I wasn't able to. Make sure you let us know right away. The same as adding a course. If you're trying to add a course and you can't, let us know about it, and we're trying to help you get in or out. Registration tips, and you will hear that too, is it's very important to add the lab at the same time as the lecture, or you won't be able to register. Waitlists, you might see for all the direct entry students, you shouldn't have any issues with waitlist because the registration date is so early. So make sure that you actually register on your date. If you end up on a waitlist, beware of making changes. If you see another spot in a different class that you want to take and you drop your waitlist, there is no way for us to put you on. So you have to be really, really mindful of that. If you want to switch sections, let us know and we can do it for you. If you're actually in the course, not on the waitlist. Again, lab changes, let us know. If you're trying to do it yourself and you drop it, any class that has a wait list, it's very stringent and we most likely won't be able to get you back in. So before you try to do anything, let us know and we can do it for you, hopefully. Next slide. Okay, so degrees focus on a combination of academic discipline and professional preparation. So we provide you with the theory and the knowledge, and we also prepare you for employment through experiential learning. You have heard about cooperative education, very important, really, really popular with students. And next slide, please. Now, these are the things we expect from you. Okay, so respect for others goes without saying. Excellence, you're giving your best, you're responsible for yourself. That means you go to classes, you show up when you have class. Appreciation for diversity, don't go on yet. And most importantly, there's a second bullet, academic integrity. Especially now with online learning, it's really easy to get sidetracked. Just a quick question for you. You're in an exam, you're writing away, you're having your phone, you're getting a text from a friend asking you a question about the exam, you quickly answer it. Is that okay to do? Can I hear yes or no? No. Two. Good. Anybody want to say yes? Absolutely not. You cannot communicate with friends during the exam. If you get a text, ignore it. There will be other things we'll be mentioning once actually school starts, but that's a very important thing to know. Academic integrity is taken very, very seriously, especially now with online learning. And most likely we will find out. Not to scare you, but to scare you. Next slide, please. Okay, the homepage, and Jason.
Okay, so we touched on this a little bit before. So we've tried to organize things here so that it's easy for students to find. We have right now this button here, or this hub that has some information that you'll want to maybe click through. So undergraduate programs, for example, will take you to this page. And this is where some of the information in the folder is duplicated. In the event that you want a fresh copy, you've lost it. You change your address and it didn't get sent to you. So you can do things like go directly to the calendar links that are here for you. Sorry, I lost my mouse again. If you click on the Bachelor of Arts in Geography, for example, it will take you to that section of the catalog. There are the degree program summary sheets here that you can pick for each program as well. For those students that are in the environmental sciences and studies degree programs, when you're looking for information on the focus areas, they can be found here in this brochure. And then, which was also found in the packages, were our career exploration brochures for each different degree program that you can click on here. We've highlighted people like Michelle Curry that Andrew had talked about earlier on. So a student from each of the programs with a picture as well. and the different opportunities that are there.
Okay, can you just go back to the main page? Students always ask me about scholarship and awards. So if you're interested in which awards you can apply for, there are basically two different types of awards. There's the awards that you apply for, and then there's the awards that are just handed out to you. Now, the Riddell faculty has 5 direct entry awards. So those will be given out to the 5 highest GPA from high school. There is an additional direct entry award for an Indigenous student, the highest incoming Indigenous student, and then the equivalent for undergraduate admission scholarships for the advanced entry students. So those you don't have to apply for, they will be just given out to the highest GPAs. But if you scroll down, Jason, once you're a little bit further in, there are a few awards that we offer that you would apply for. And they are quite competitive, but they would be found here. So those are our faculty awards. Again, if you do quite well, awards are usually administered in July, and you will always be getting them before fees are due in October. But most of the awards are, like I said, merit-based, so you don't apply for them. You just get a notification in Aurora that you have received an award. Some of you may have been written in your offer letter that you get the high school awards, right? They are tiered. Did anybody get those? Can I see a yes or a no? Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so they will be, and awards will be directly applied towards your student fees. So they reduce them, yeah. Okay, and I think,
Wanted to come back here. Something I did forget to mention was for appointments with Ilka and myself, and hope you can book them through this link here. So it'll take you to a separate application, and you can choose there if you want a telephone appointment or a video appointment, for example, with all the dates and times that are available.
that was a very important bit, thank you. Okay, I think we have one slide left. Okay, so Jason and I just discussed it before. When we went to university, they used to give out books. You would get the academic calendar in a book. I loved it. And then you would cruise through it and you would read all the requirements that are applicable to you. We're no longer printing books, now it's a PDF. But you are expected to know the regulations. And yeah, so Jason is just kind of showing you, you have to click quite a bit. So there are regulations that apply to all students in the faculty, and then there are regulations that apply just to your specific degree program. We will always try and let you know what they are, obviously, but we also expect you to be aware of the regulations for your degree program. So for instance, if you, going back to academic misconduct, if you said, well, I didn't know I'm not supposed to cheat, well, it's in the academic calendar. You cannot cheat on final examinations. So not knowing is usually not an excuse. And the degree or the program summary sheet that you would find in your folder for those who got it is basically just a Coles Note version condensed with all the requirements on the program sheet. And then here we have them laid out once we get there. It's not the prettiest thing, right, Jason?
That's right. There are some things that are useful with this online version, though, that you can hover over the class and you can see the course description and what the prerequisites are. That's one thing that we find that we have to remind students of, is that you want to know what those prerequisites are when you're looking at some of the higher level courses for you to progress through from year 1 to year 2 to year 3. You may need to ensure that you've taken those appropriate courses earlier on, and we're here to help you with that as well.
Yes, I should add that because this might be overwhelming right now, looking at that, lots of courses. If you go down there, it's going to be a bunch of footnotes. But the expectation again is to say, hey, I looked at this and it didn't make any sense at all. Can you please explain it to me? And we are more than happy to do that. I'm just happy a student actually looked at this, to be quite honest. And I think we have Jason. Jason,
Sorry, I just cut out there a little bit.
do you have anything to add to the calendar?
I know it's a really good resource to look at. There will be a PDF version available, which you can always download. Sometimes it's faster to search through that way. And you can also, cut out some of the extra pages from some of the other faculties, for example, if they don't pertain to you. So yeah, it's another resource that you'll want to come back to. I did tell Ilka not to mention that, we're so old that they had printed versions of it. But it was kind of nice because you had it and you could highlight it and do stuff like you would do in your textbook. So, I mean, that's kind of how I treated mine as well. I highlighted it, I put tabs and stuff like that. So it's a little bit different now having it online, but of course it's much more convenient to have it online as well. So.
Well, it had everything in one book, like all the important dates and everything that you have to search for. So, but anyway, this is the last slide. And again, does anybody know what this is? Has anybody been to open house? Anybody? Oh, yay. So those of you who have been, cool. You might have been, or you just know what it is. It's a Cretaceous menagerie, very neat little museum, actually quite large. And this is also the room where we'll be hosting the convocation reception by the time you actually graduate in 4 years, yay. So, really neat room. There's no food allowed, so please don't go in there and have your lunch there once we come back in January. And I think Andrew actually knows what these fossils are. Right, Andrew?
Well, I had to look it up. I'm not being a paleontologist myself, but basically it's called the Cretaceous menagerie because it's specifically, these are casts of fossils from the Cretaceous geological period. And there's four in there, only one of which is actually a dinosaur. So the one that's actually sitting on the sort of little pedestal is a Gorgosaurus. That's tyrannosaurid dinosaur, so sort of in the general tyrannosaur family. So that's the one sort of land-based creature. The other three are all marine, and they're all hanging from the ceiling, so you can think of that as being like a sea above you. And you can see very prominently in the picture to the right is a Archelon, I'm not sure which is the correct pronunciation, which is the world's largest ever sea turtle. So a very big turtle. There's also a mosasaur, which you can sort of see very much at the back by the windows. As a mosasaur is a marine reptile. This particular one is called Platycarpus. And then the left, you only see part of it in the picture, really just its tail, but that's a Xiphactinus. It's a very large fish. It's actually, this picture doesn't show its head, but it's actually one of the scarier looking fossils we have there. There's also a bunch of cases with smaller fossils, mineral specimens. There's an operating seismograph. There's quite a bit to see in the museum. So once we can all be back in Wallace, I highly recommend you go check it out.
Yeah, and I hear they are really heavy, but they are well secured because they're just hanging down. Okay. That's it for us. Do you have any questions at all? Did you enjoy the presentation? I
awesome.
take that.
A couple of yes. This is our first time that we've ever done this, by the way, so we are doing our best.
Okay, so if you have any questions, anything at all, just send us an email, call us. Like we said, I will send out the links to everybody so you have them. And other than that, if there are no questions, have a nice afternoon. Enjoy your weekend. See you guys.
Thanks, everybody.